Hello, everyone. How you doing? This is Chanan, Brian Mark Zimberg, and I am joined by my brother.
Lott. Hi, everybody. It's really nice to be with you today.
So today, we really want to take a look at, first of all, how many of you out there ever have your mind tell you negative things? Really want to dip into and take a look at this feeling of shame or unworthiness that a lot of us are plagued with in life, and to see what is that all about. And how often does your mind just tell you horrible things about yourself? You know, it would seem that the mind has an endless bag of tricks to put you down, to make you wrong, and to really kind of hurt you, make you have to defend yourself, really. And that comes from this avoidance of unworthiness. So I want to take a look at that today and what's the normal way that we normally go about dealing with negative thoughts. And what we want to take a glimpse and take a look at is that the struggle of the battle, right? So how many of you feel unworthiness or your mind says something negative and then you feel yucky about yourself, right? And then that yucky feeling you turn into even more, right? So you start to indulge that story and it turns into much more pain, much more energy. And then there's a fear of maybe I'm going to get sad. I'm getting sad. Maybe I'm going to get depressed. So now they're, everything's kicking and screaming, battling. Oh, I don't want to go into that depression, which of course makes sense. I can remember my first time ever having a depression. And I have to say, it's quite devastating. I was lucky enough not to suffer from depression, right? I had my ups, but my down was like other people's happy. But after years of being on the journey and awakening to oneness, and, after the self-help books, I'm working on myself and making myself better. And having a real big bravado for who I was in the world. I went and made a film in Hollywood. I would accomplish things. And when I saw that that wasn't enough, I started to recognize that maybe the spiritual answers the answer, as I had this awakening in Joshua Tree, that everything's connected. And I started to seek to find freedom in these different experiences that were temporary that this was giving me. But anyways, jumping ahead, I ended up getting really good at that, got blissed out, and recognized I had to stop searching. And the invitation to do that came directly from a teacher named Gangaji. She's phenomenal in supporting people in awakening. And it came from her teacher. And that's just this possibility of not searching anymore and discovering who you are. So then I went about the world sharing this invitation with others as I discovered that I am absolute freedom. I'm one with everything. And the focal point of me, you that you have to defend, you that's feeling unworthy, you that you're scared is going to become depressed or destroyed, that you is more of a figment of our imagination. It's not that you're not here. You are here, actually. It's that the constant reference of your mind for who you are and what you think you are, that's the struggle and suffering in life. And for me, that focal point went away. Like that focal point was no longer about me. And isn't that what we all truly desire then, to finally be free of me? So when you get really down in that depression, like I did so I was teaching for 3 years, and then I went through a traumatic experience and in that traumatic experience, produced by psychedelics for 3 days, my entire life got ripped apart. Now, I had a job, by job. I had a relationship for 3 years, goodbye relationship. And I left LA and I stopped teaching at that moment. And I was waking up and going to sleep crying over this loss of this relationship. She also went through this traumatic experience and we weren't going to be together anymore. That was it. It was over. And 3 days later, I don't remember what went on, but I had loss and pain. And it was the first time for me in about 10 years that I didn't feel connected and one with everything. So I would have that awareness and opening experience throughout the day, but I was so deep into darkness. It was as if the light didn't exist any longer in those moments. And in that, I realized, how could I have compassion for others if I hadn't gone through that experience? And for me, luckily, it only lasted about a month, but it was complete darkness. So I want you to know that complete darkness I understand how painful it is and scary. And I'm telling you right now that trying to get rid of it or fix it will never help you. It won't allow you true freedom. And we did something radically different with emotion and the thoughts. We show you that shifting your attention out of your mind, in the moment that your attention recognizes these patterns that keep us stuck in our mind, you're already becoming aware. And as there's an emotion, you start to notice that I'm trying to get away from this emotion to get to something better. And that is actually the suffering. That's when we're believing our thoughts, and then it's coupled by emotion. And then that emotion turns into more negative thoughts, and we start that spiral. And what you can start to learn and recognize is if you slow it down, there's actually a choice. There's awareness of those thoughts. There's awareness of that emotion. So first is really to start to see that you're seeking a better experience somewhere else to get rid of this experience, and that you're believing your thoughts. So you're believing your thought to be reality, and that's creating a feeling in you, and that feeling creates more thoughts. So two things here. It's possible to not have to believe your thoughts any longer. And I know that's just some kind of radical statement, but it's true. That just like if there's a child having a conversation with you in your head or in real life, and it's telling you a bunch of nonsense, you don't have to believe it. We can train you to no longer believe your mind. Right. So Joey, what's the typical way that you deal with a negative thought? Like what are the typical ways people are shown in life? Like how are you going to deal with negative thoughts, right? With meditation or positive thinking?
Right. That's so important. And I can share from my own experience because I struggled with a lot of negative thinking. I mean, I have my mind has a long history of obsessive negativity. And so I, like many people, learned, okay, you've got to do something about it. So I tried affirmations. That was a big one. I tried to change my thinking, tried to do meditation in order to get, calm the nervous system, thinking that's going to improve everything. But fundamentally, it's always about trying to get rid of or change. And it's always about this ongoing battle at that level of mind, at the level of suffering. So it's just suffering with suffering with suffering with suffering, just struggling. I think most people can probably feel that. I mean, I know I certainly reached a point in my life where I was at the end of my rope. I'm just like, is this it? This is all there is to life, is just fighting with my own thoughts and my own negative thinking. And I'm just constantly in this battle, trying to get it right, trying to overcome it, trying to get out from underneath it, trying to just get to okayness. This sucks, frankly, and I remember many times feeling like, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I think I'm going to have to kill myself because I just couldn't see any light at the end of the tunnel. Everything that had been proposed to me, everything that was available in any book, in any teaching, anywhere I turned, it was fundamentally the same stuff. You're going to fix it, change it, avoid it, escape it, make it prettier, surround yourself by the right people, get the right circumstances, get more money, go on vacation. And none of that stuff ever worked. I'm sure everybody who's watching this recognizes that in your own life. It just doesn't ever work enough. We can get I got good at a lot of those things. I could get good at the affirmations and I could create a positive feeling for a little while, but then then I have to maintain that. And it's not reliable either, because there were times when yeah, I can do this, it's working. And then it's like, oh, it's not working. I don't know why. I don't know why it's not working. But the one thing I could tell you was that it was painful. And that was the thing that I'd been overlooking. That's what everybody overlooks, is we just assume that pain or discomfort or fear or whatever we label the underlying experience that we're trying to get away from or fix or change, we honestly just innocently believe that that's it. We just got to get rid of it, avoid it. And what we share with people, and what's really the saving grace that offers true freedom to anybody who receives this invitation, is that it's simply about shifting your attention out of mind. You don't have to be giving your attention to the mind all the time. And it's not that we have to get rid of it either. A lot of people think, oh, I got to have a silent mind. I have to have a harmonious mind. I have to, all these ideas, but we can just start to see that's more of the same. And fundamentally, what we're really looking for is rest. We want relief. We want peace. We don't want more struggle. I never wanted any more struggle, but in my innocent seeking, I was generating more struggle because
Yes,
all of those techniques are just more struggle, more stuff for the person to take on to do in order to maybe get okay in the future,
that's
which,
right.
as we all know, never arrives.
It's like the spiritual search and the spiritual tools that we learn, the mind co-ops, and it's now just like, even if you're not on a spiritual journey, you just have negative thoughts, and how you see how the negative thoughts lead to emotion, lead to more negative thoughts, and it can become a downward spiral. Well, now what's going to happen the way the mind, we see what we show people is that the operating system of the mind, the survival animal, is constructed exactly how it's constructed. And if we allow ourselves to become aware of the patterns that keep us identified in the mind, the way it's maintaining separation, special me identity, all to avoid the unknown, because it has to not be destroyed. As long as it's doing that, there's going to be suffering. So, of course, the same way you're avoiding not wanting to feel unworthy, but then it's here and then the whole battle goes on. Well, guess what the mind does with that? It takes that all right into it. So all your spiritualizations, all your understandings, it uses them as a heightened place that you should get to and be, and that you're wrong to not be at now. So now the mind is shaming you for, or it says, hey, I know how to do this. I know how to deal with this emotion. I'll do this affirmation. It's going to make me feel better. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but it's not permanent. So we're really interested in permanent meditation for you. And so I think it's important to take a look at what are the main ways we usually deal with negative thoughts, right, Joey? It's like, one is, like Joey was pointing to, is that we start having to change our negative thoughts for a positive thought. Now that can be very powerful in programming, creation, and other dynamics, but we're not here to teach you how to live in separation paradigm dynamics. We're actually here to help you transcend living from feeling like something separate that can be destroyed. And that actually you being that which is holding everything together, allows the stars in the sky, your breath to occur, is already here right now. And at its core is you right now. And that your connection leaves you never alone. So how did I break out of that depression? Was it trying to make a positive feeling be better? No, I let myself go through the emotions of it. I was a human being going through the loss of a loved one into a darkness I've never seen. Hard, challenging. But what allowed me to be free of that? Meditation. Being with that emotion so deeply, finally, where I was done resisting it and over dramatizing and overindulging it and suffering with it, that finally the clarity to just be with it so deeply revealed oneness on a whole deeper level. So the typical way is what? I have to do a certain meditation or a certain technique to get rid of this negative feeling. I have to implant these negative thoughts with a positive thoughts to generate my positive life. But you see, what is that really? That's like pushing the negative away in hopes that the positive will lead you towards a positive life that you can sustain. There's a lot of energy in that. You know what's way easier than that? Is to shift out of your mind. When you shift out of your mind, what we're postulating to you is that what meditation and awakening really are is shifting out of your mind. And once you see these 5 patterns that we share, you shift out of the mind. And then you recognize you can access being, you can access oneness right now. And as you access over and over again, this shift of attention comes out of the mind and out of the separate animal. We allow the animal to be the animal. So we don't sit to meditate, right? That's another way we'd go about it, right? Meditate to get to know thoughts so that the negative thoughts don't touch me anymore. And that works, right? We all know the benefits of meditation. It's phenomenal what it does for the body, and it can be relaxing. But other times people go, why am I meditating wrong now? All these negative emotions are there. Because guess what happens once you rest in some stillness and peace? Well, everything that was pushed away, all the negative emotions, our entire life, we've been told it's not okay to feel. Right? We tell people feel their feelings. We tell kids it's okay to feel your feelings, but not really, right? But not really. They should stop crying soon. Because we've been told our whole lives it's not okay to feel our feelings. We don't even really know what feeling our feelings is. We do a special workshop with people called Freedom with Emotions, which is actually coming up for the Access Points group, where we actually show you the possibility of meeting emotion, But we can't even go there till you start to recognize that you're running from an emotion and that the mind is running you because it's running away and it thinks it'll be destroyed. But the truth is you pushed away so much of yourself, you can never discover wholeness till you let it back in. So the other practices of trying to get to know thought, get rid of thoughts, well, we don't invite you to get rid of anything. Getting rid of thoughts. What wants to get rid of thoughts? The thoughts. What wants to get rid of ego? The ego. Check and see right now in your present moment experience, just that you are here, being. Does being want to get rid of the ego? Does infinite intelligence, God, spirit, life want to get rid of the ego? Or does it allow the ego? Did it create the ego? So surely getting rid of the ego, getting rid of the negative thoughts, that's not the battle that we need to pick up the armor for anymore. You can discover directly that you're running now. That's the first thing. Just start to see that I'm seeking something better somewhere else to get rid of what's here. And that makes sense from the physical, mental, but you're not just your body, mind. You're much deeper than that. Who you are is already free now. And this is just a coming home to the truth of yourself. So as you see that, the typical MO of the co-opting mind is to grab onto a technique you've done before, right? To go for a positive because positive feels better than negative. But to have the audacity to stop seeking something better somewhere else and finally be here with what's here. Now your mind's going to kick and scream. You're going to feel resistance and indulgence in that. Okay, you've already suffered enough. You've ran enough. We've all had enough. Look at the world outside. The possibility is to not believe your mind. So right, we do an 8-week course. We can't give you an 8-week course in an hour here, in 20 minutes here. But what we can tell you, just start to notice that every time there's a thought, that's what we're doing Access Point this week. Every time there's a thought, there's awareness of the thought. Recognize that you are being, no matter what your mind is saying. See if that you are, just that you exist. Does that change, even when mind's negative?
Yeah, and you can see that the mind, just as Chanan said, is going to kick and scream. And when the intensity is high, then it kicks and screams more. But to be aware, just to notice, just that simple shift is so powerful. And the more, what we tell people is that to access oneness over and over in your life, in all the different circumstances of your life, if you just trust in that process, that's it. You don't need complicated techniques. You don't need any special teaching that's going to tell you how you're going to transmute something or transcend something or any of that stuff. It's actually as simple as just accessing the awareness that's already here, that's effortless, that doesn't require that you seek it or do anything to attain it or anything. It's 100% reliable. And the key, though, is that if you look just once, that's not it. It's not going to be enough. You have to keep looking and trusting in the process, because it's not a technique to just get you to a better experience. That's really important to understand. This is about discovering in your own direct experience what it is that's always here. And we can only see that if we're willing and courageous just to keep looking. And I say courageous, not because we're going to have to fight the demons and the monsters and all of that, but that's what the body mind fears. And so we have to have the courage to just be willing to set down the armor and look and just discover for ourselves over and over and over. And as we do this shift over and over, and in Access Points, we do it over 8 weeks. And in 8 weeks' time, in fact, for most people, in way less than 8 weeks, this shift repeatedly starts to become where the anchor of identification just tips right off the edge and drops right into being. There's no longer a doing or any sense of a doing that's necessary, because there's just the clarity of who you are and who you've always been and always will be. And that's not something that we can get to, and that's definitely not something that we're going to arrive at by getting rid of aspects of ourselves.
That's right. So like natural compassion then for yourself isn't you trying to have compassion like as if you're going to like the feeling of unworthiness. Of course, the body mind's not going to like the feeling of unworthiness, but noticing that you are here. Mind will say that's nothing. Who cares about that? Because it wants to run away from a vast, infinite self that you are. Noticing that you are here offers that space of allowing and true meeting with emotion. So I just, for people right now to understand that, you know, we're here in full support of you. You can take this on. So today I would say leave with this. If we never see you ever again, leave with this. Start to notice how you're looking for a better experience than the one you have here, and see that the hook of that is what spirals you deeper and deeper into suffering, into depression, unworthiness, in the whole battle. Notice the energy of that, and notice the audacity just to notice that you are here, and just to be able to be still and know that you are. And what happens in that shift of noticing, you'll notice that there's an opening, and a lot of things that were pushed away are going to want to come up. So support is kind of a necessary thing in this.
Yeah.
You can go about this and discover this yourself, but most people notice that they can shift and have a shift of emotions and live a happier life, but yet there's something deeper that wants to come up. And that's really where true mentorship from Joey and I, and the access point process just works on its own over and over again, doesn't it, Joey? It's amazing. It's, you know, they've already scientifically proven about meditation and mindfulness. So this meditation is occurring in your life. So instead of you having to do something, again, do something to have something, to be something in the separation paradigm, instead you are in your life doing your life. And in that noticing, there's a shift that starts to occur. And as you're guided in that with the support of a community of people, which is really essential to recognize that it's not just the veneer of the separate self that's going on. We all have these similar issues and techniques and problems, but we're all here to support oneness because we are really in this together. So people on their own can have this shift, but after a while, the mind co-ops and makes the suffering of that again. So how do we put an end to that? Well, what we do is through the 8 weeks, we offer you an access point, and we let you see these 5 main patterns of the mind that keep you stuck in the mind. And that's what access point process is. As you start to become accessing yourself over and over, a muscle of shifting occurs where all of a sudden you recognize the core of you is you always. And now life is meditating. You're living an awake life. And you see the patterns operating. Now the mind can just be a mind helping create separation, beautiful separation. Here we are. And the beauty of it is that intensity, that emotion from living an awake life becomes a direct gift. Believe it or not, unworthiness, shame, fear, anger, it all becomes a gift. When we don't run from it and go in the mind surviving, and we come home. And in that meeting, there's a gift, there's an opening. That's where flow and abundance and aliveness comes from. It's the intensity of life we're all running from. So right now, what Joey and I have done, we're taking some time aside to meet with people for, I think, 30, 45-minute sessions right now. You know, we're really busy with the group, but we wanted to be able to take this time to sit down with you. So how do you know if you're ready for this? There's a burning desire in you. You've tried so many things and they're temporary, or you've had enough. We've all had enough of the me and trying to get it and figure it out and fix. So we can just stop trying to get it and trust a system that keeps working for people over and over and over again. With 2 mentors that are living this, we're living on the edge of life, not believing our mind, free to be ourselves. And we want that for you too. So you can sit down with us if you're ready, you know, you're ready to awaken, and you're somebody who's ready to invest in themselves. This is a 8-month course. Joey and I are giving our personal attention to you daily in a master soul group, which is amazing, with the support of community. So if you're ready and you're ready to invest in yourself, then please, you know, join us at brianmark.com/private, and we'll be able to take a look, an assessment of what your journey has been and where you're stuck. And just seeing where you're stuck is enough to just free everything. And if that's all it is for us, then great. But we'll be able to meet and see if it makes sense for you to continue on the journey of mentorship with us and Access Point, and if that's for you. So anything else you want to add in there, Joey?
No, that was perfect. I think that's wonderful. And I don't have anything else to add to that. It's been really delightful. Thanks everybody for being here with us today.
Lots of love. We'll see you again soon. Okay. You can, by the way, share this with others. You know, we're really focused right now on helping 2 million people awaken in the next 3 years to not just have an inner shift at the end of suffering, but the end of suffering globally. And we think that'll be a shift of consciousness, and you're responsible for that. So you showing up here, you joining in on this, you sharing this, what we are about is helping the world awaken. And if you're about that too, please share this with somebody else who you know this could help, somebody else who thinks that they have to fix themselves and make themselves better and do 20 years of therapy and to get rid of depression, to get rid of unworthiness. All right. Thanks so much. So like this and share this. Lots of love to all of you. Thanks so much.